Welcome, everybody. This is the Fall On with Chaos and Company. And let me tell you, Angelo, it's great to be back. We had a great preseason with the one from down in Portillo with the crew, but I am psyched for tonight. I got my beer. I hope everybody goes out, grabs a little drink. I think all the boys here in call have a little something. We're going to crack those puppies out for starting the season here with Fall on Chaos and Company. And we have Jeb Boyd here, Angelo. We got Jeb Boyd, the coach of the PSIA-AASI national team. He is the head coach, so it's all disciplines. You have also been the former Eastern Examiner coach for quite a few years. I think you were the first Examiner coach, Jeb.
Yeah, I could have. Well, yeah, in that actual title, probably, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty psyched, and we have to say that the conversation we wanted to have tonight was talking a little bit about the alignment and education and how things are going on with the alignment, because Jeb's definitely in that and has been for quite a few years, and Angelo is also, because I think people forget Angelo is our education development manager for the national organization. Sits right underneath Dave Schuling, who is our education. It's a little different title, isn't it, Angelo? It's Director of Education and Credentialing.
That's it.
Is Schuling, right?
Yep. There
you go. So I thought that was a little adding the credentialing with our certifications and all that stuff. But Dave had a neat little article that went out on Facebook and that talking about the alignment and how it relates to education. And I was like, Angelo, we got to have Jeb on here to chat about this and how it works with going across the country. Because Jeb, your team is the messenger. They are the crew that will be bringing that message out to the US of A. They have been for multiple years. I know it is. How many Interskis ago did you guys start with the ski fundamentals? That was what? Is it 3 or 4?
Yeah, well, it was after St. Anton, which was 2011, is when it all started. This whole process started when we were so excited to share with the world in St. Anton in 2011 how America can address a variety of lesson types in one single lesson.
Yep.
And the whole baseline was about the introduction of fat skis and how does the USA handle that? And so we were so excited to get out there and share that story. And lo and behold, they're like, well, what are you guys all about in the US? And we said, well, it all depends on what's going on. They're like, you guys need to figure it out then. And they were right. And that really was the deal that got us on this path, and it's been rolling ever since then.
Yeah, and it's awesome. I mean, I've had the pleasure. I've been on the ed staff that entire time here in the East, and even before you were the coach, I got to ski with you many times at examiner training. I think you were getting sick of me being in your group. I think
I was in like remedial class or something. I don't know.
I think it was. I think they kept putting me in there and Troy in there, and a bunch of us going, "This is the crew that really needs some help." It was like 6 or 7 seasons in a row we were together. So, but for me, it's been awesome because you've been super cool and helping me along the way, and I consider you a mentor, not just a coach. And you've been in that spot for me for many, many years. And we have here in the Eastern region a really cool mentorship program that's started by the organization that launches Monday that people can sign up and get that one-on-one kind of mentorship thing. And I just wanted to have you say something, Jeb, about mentorship. And I know you do that with a lot of folks. You've been really good, and what that means and how you go about being a good mentor.
Well, I think it starts with the people who mentored me, and I was always so appreciative of the time that they would give and the explanations and the little extra details that they would give. Now, they probably had no idea they were mentoring me, but I was just so in awe that they were like, wow, they're actually helping me out. I really appreciate this. And I would also pay attention to just the little subtleties and comments that would be made. Anything that I could like sink my hooks into and say, this is going well. I've got to change because it's not going well. And so it all started with the wonderful people who got me to where I am. I have always been appreciative of that and always been in payback mode. And I always, I look at it as, and actually when I was interviewing for the CEO role, I talked about this, is like I feel success when other people succeed. And so it's not about my success. It's about helping everybody around me come along and let them come forward and give them their turn to have success. And that success could be just like a little micro piece of success, or it could be like a career changing piece of news that comes their way from the hard work they've done. So it's what I'm all about. I really like to help others. And you know what? Guys like you two and so many others on, especially the Eastern staff, I know, as well as around the country, feel the same. And so many people are excited to help others along.
Yeah. I mean, Angela, you've done that your whole life, man. You've been in public education. I mean, you were mentoring young folks for a long, long time.
Yeah. I don't know if they would have seen it that way, but maybe. But I'll tell you what, like both of you guys mentored me up through this process and continue to, and then those mentoring relationships that happen organically, like there's nothing like that. And, but I've learned so much from both of you guys. I don't even know if you realize it when it's happening, and that's really clean. But yeah, the programs are good too. Like, because one nice thing about the programs, people who volunteer to mentor, they really want to be doing it. So they're going to put some energy into it. So I've heard back and forth through the years about, well, it's better if it happens organically. And that may or may not be the case. I'm not sure, but I do know that, in those programs, like the one that the Eastern region has had and is launching again Monday, like those folks are purposely volunteering their time. That's a big deal. If anybody thinking about it, I encourage them to reach out and see who they get hooked up with.
Yeah. Yeah. I know Chris Erickson's usually in that mix, and he's a great one to have if you get lucky enough there, but you can't really lose with the ed staff, anybody on there. It's pretty cool. And hey, Jeb, we got to talk alignment. I know a lot of members don't know what it is. It's just kind of a word. Then there's quite a few members that do know. And it's that some that understand, some that don't. There's a lot of pieces I know to it. I mean, we talk to our CEOs, they kind of have a different realm than the education piece, but I'm really curious. He talked about it in the article, Dave Schuling, and really as an educational type thing, but I wanted to chat with you because I want to see your views on, because I know you have a pretty good big picture idea how this works and working with all the disciplines as a coach. What are some of your thoughts and how would you explain what alignment is, what it's going to mean for the member, for their experience, and what things will change or be the same? Just what is it?
Yeah, well, I think the idea of alignment is to come together, is like a loose interpretation of just the word, but you have to have something to come together around. And that's what we're trying to align to, is the sense that we are one association under PSIA-AASI. And there's, you nailed it, a variety of disciplines that are within that scope. And there's a variety of regions. And there's a lot of competition out there, that people want to be better, or they want to, you guys see it. And the idea of alignment is to start to look and feel like one association from East Coast to West Coast, north to south, so that we look and feel and smell and all that's, I know, stinky, but
the locker rooms, locker rooms in the spring.
We start to look, feel, and act as one. And things, the interesting thing there is that surprisingly, a lot of members are really starting to travel around to take events elsewhere than their home region. And it's weird because there's price differences, there's process differences, there's all these other differences, but we're all working towards the same exact goal. And so how can we align our organization to look and feel and be the same across the country? Interestingly there, one of the things that I am most proud of my time with the national team and the team coach is our one team concept, where we've taken all of the disciplines and we've rallied around this a singular message, but we've allowed for each discipline to have their own identity. Now, you guys are telemark guys, right? And so you're talking about the same things. The things that you talk about in telemark look and feel similar, like there's recognition between Alpine and telemark, but yet telemark still has a different feel than Alpine does, and that's it right there. Is we want to come together. We want to align. And so in that example, with the national team, one team concept, your listeners may have heard this. What that refers to is that all disciplines are working off the same message. And the beauty of that is when you have a ski and ride school anywhere in the country, oftentimes some are doing well with staffing, but others are not. And it allows you to encourage people to try different sides of winter sports. So you could go from snowboard to alpine to adaptive, etc. You can move around and try different things, and the things are going to feel and they're going to sound very familiar. And that is a massive win for our organization. So alignment's happening around us, whether we're aligning regionally or we're aligning from disciplines. It's all good news.
Yeah. And so many times, as we think about good teaching and doing the job well, I've heard you, I don't know how many times when you're talking to folks about getting ready for their regional tryouts to try to go for the national team. And I've heard this since I went back in 2012, and I think we started in 2010. And I think I heard it when the crew was going for 208, because I think you made it in 204, right?
Right.
Yeah, you were 204, so you were on the team, and you're like, the best way to train for this thing is to do the job.
Yeah.
Get out there in the hill, do the job. And I think that transfers. I know I've tried to transfer that thought to just what I do in the East here, being an examiner. And I was just wanted you to chat a little bit to like, there's this year we're having an Eastern team tryout into the season. Mm-hmm. So we have those people going, and every year we have our cert candidates going to exams. I would think training for the certification exams, one of the best ways to train is get out there and do the job.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I will never stop saying that, Dave, because, I love how you open this conversation with mentorship. When a team member or an ed staff member or a level 3 certified member at a school interacts with others, there is that sense of leadership. There's that sense of willingness to help others. You guys see it. You guys do it when you're on the road. And that's what I'm talking about doing the job, is like assume the role. Like, what do you experience when you get the opportunity to work with people who you aspire to be in their shoes? And if you can replicate the things that they're doing with you to others, you are doing the job. And it doesn't matter. It could be level 1 certification. In theory, level 1 says you have expertise in the beginner and novice zones of the mountain, right? And so find a level 1 instructor if you're not level 1 certified yet, and pay attention to how they operate, pay attention to what they do, and then share that experience with your own twist and your own flavor. And therefore you are, in quote, doing the job of the role that you are aspiring to.
Yeah, because you guys, for the tryout, if I know for the national team tryout, look a lot as to how people have been involved in their regions.
Yeah. You don't need to be an examiner to be a national team member, but you're going to have a hard time being on the national team without having a regional involvement. And that could be anything from support or whatever, running clinics, et cetera. But it's, the role of an examiner and the role of a national team member really are different roles. Mm-hmm. You need to be you got to be part of this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Jeb, relative to this idea of doing the job. That's not how I was trained or trained myself as I was coming up through CERT. So back in the like late 80s, early 90s, it was clinics were very clinical. It was like sit and get. There was a clinician who spoke. There were participants who did not. And I remember, the days of like 3x5 flashcards. Did you guys do this? Like, oh, I'm getting ready for my exam. I have to get my flashcards. Yes. Like that's what we did. But
like those things.
Yep. We've evolved like well beyond that. And I'm not sure that message has permeated the membership as quickly as that reality has changed. So you talk about doing the job. What are your thoughts about, what we used to do was train to the test.
Mm-hmm.
That's very, very different from doing the job and passing the test as a matter of course.
Yeah. So you're talking about a CERT candidate.
Yeah.
Hey, let's face it. We all like things to be stable. We all like things to be known. That's a human trait. None of us like going into anything unprepared. And so what do? You prepare for what you're going to do. And so historically, how instructors would prepare. I mean, I remember when I was teaching skiing back in Pennsylvania, we had lesson plans, 6-week lesson plans. You would write them all out. And that is exactly what, as a profession and as an industry, we were trying to move away from. And we're trying to allow people to trust their instincts, trust their knowledge, trust themselves, and don't go into a teaching environment and just start repeating what you've written down. Because in that situation, that's instructor-centered teaching. That is not student-centered teaching. And so when I say trust yourself, trust your knowledge, trust your training, what that means is like, you guys know, you've heard me talk about this. Like, I have my starting points. Like, I know when I go out on the snow, I have a pretty good idea of a few things that I can get something started with. That's it. That is where it ends in terms of preparation. Mm-hmm. Because from that point on, what comes next is based on what I see, what I hear, what is going on. And, you can't really prepare for that, because if you do, you're going to miss all those subtle cues. And that's exactly what we're trying to get instructors across this country to embrace, and understand that, you've got to, Matt Boyd talks about, what's he say, Angelo? Being present.
Yes. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, are you talking about meet them where they are?
Yeah. Meet them where they are. That's it. Meet them where they are. And so what that means is you're meet them where they are is a concept that talks about, present tense. It's not past tense. It's not future tense. It's meet them where they are right now. And so that time travels throughout the scope of a lesson. Meet them where they are is at the beginning of the lesson, it's throughout the lesson, and it's all the way to the end of the lesson. And so you always have to be paying attention to what's going on. And we did an activity at team training, I think last year, where we did, it was kind of like a hot potato activity, if you will. So we went out there and had team members start doing a teaching section. In other words, the first person that went out would just talk about what is on their mind. Okay. But they could only run for a few minutes, and then it would have to pass on to the next team member, and they would have to pick up where they would go. Now, what's interesting is the activity wasn't about how many things can we string along. The activity was about paying attention to the others in the group. And when it's your turn to have a little teaching segment, you may do nothing. You may repeat. You may allow for practice. You may shift gears completely because it's just running dry. But those are the decisions about a teaching experience that you only can make if you're paying attention to what's happening. So it was uncomfortable because, again, no team member wants to look foolish out there and everybody wants to be prepared. But what it did is it allowed the team members to pay attention to what's happening, and what they add is based on what they're seeing and experiencing. So it worked well.
Yeah, I remember Troy told me about that when he got back from training. That was a cool one. Yeah. That one definitely stuck with him. I think probably most of the team members will remember that one.
Yeah. Well, the beauty is when it turns into an argument.
Yeah.
No. That's not what we're talking about, guys. It's not a right or wrong situation. This is about, can you reflect, and are you aware of what's going on? That awareness is, honestly, if you asked me what's the most important thing about being a good teacher, it's being aware of what's going on around you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's where, for me, I've been really trying to reflect, with my role as an ed staff member, as an examiner when I'm doing exams, and especially as the coach of the development team and our Category A examiners, am I actually fulfilling that criteria? When I look at that unified assessment form, that score sheet, when those first came out a few years ago, and we were looking at those and going, okay, this is our new criteria. They're specific. It's not like, well, you kind of do this. It's each one of them has specific criteria you have to do. And I still today, and I tell my team when we're at training, the dev team, that I may not hit everything today. You got to let me know if I do, because we've got to practice trying to, not that you just hit the boxes, but am I being aware? Because if I'm not aware in a certain moment, I might miss something that misses the criteria. And, us modeling it, I think, is super important. And I'm curious as to how you talk with all your disciplines in the team about making sure they're modeling. And it was really cool in the Portillo podcast we had a month ago, them talking about, they're not perfect. During the day, there's some things to miss, but it's not like oh my God, it's all gone. It's like, okay, I missed that. How do I go from here? What do I do now that I'm aware of that? This isn't working. I've given too much information, or this task isn't working, and they made a decision. But what are some of the conversations you have with the team and all the disciplines about modeling? Because if the team isn't modeling it, if our ed staff isn't modeling it, what good is it?
Well, yeah, and that's a really good question, Dave, because the way the team works is it's not, the national team is not like a normal coach athlete relationship that we would think. Rather, the athletes, in this case, the team members, are highly motivated, highly skilled, very good at what they do. And oftentimes we rely on each other to shape a message. It's rarely is it top down in our organization. Sometimes, but not usually. It's not. And what that means is we encourage the team to have dialogue. We encourage the team to talk to one another. We encourage the team. One of the things that we want to do is we want to find out how we think a little bit differently about the sport. And how can we, is it good? Is it get in the way? Does it become a hurdle? Or, are we okay with it? One of the things that, I'm going to go off topic, a little bit. And so if you can steer me back, Dave,
Okay.
you know how I go.
I don't know if he can, but
sometimes I love when we go on these tangents, because where it goes, I'm like, that's awesome. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
When at National Academy, Penn State PGA program came and gave a keynote lecture to the academy. Mm-hmm. And they talked about in their sport, because they're equally interested in learning from us, but in their sport, they have what's called laws, principles, and preferences. It's an awful lot like skills, fundamentals, etc. in our sport. But the idea of preferences talks about how when you look at two professional golfers on the tee, they're all going to hit the ball pretty darn close to the same spot, but their swings are going to look a little bit different. Someone's going to have a higher hand. Some are going to have hands that come back. I'm not a good enough golfer to know all the differences, but those fall into the categories of preferences. Mm-hmm. And we don't really talk about preferences much in our sport. We talk about, the only time we do is when we say, well, there's different body shapes and body types, and so ski performance is really where what should be most important, which is true. But preferences are things like, do you dive in at the top of the turn, or do you tip from the feet first at the top of the turn? Both activities are going to put the ski onto its edge, or the snowboard onto its edge, but how you do it can be different, and that could be, they fall into your preferences. So now in terms of team training, is we're getting ready to prepare for Interski, and we have to get out and ski at high speed in very close proximity with each other. One of the cues that we use is to be able to hit the fall line at the exact same time as the people you're skiing with. Okay. So if I use a preference that it works, but it's different than other people's preferences, we're going to have a hard time getting to the fall line at the same time. And so that's an example of, we've got to be able to flush this stuff out. And that's how the team operates, is we work collaboratively. The coaches provide like the impetus, if you will. And then there's a collaborative effort, to work around that thing, which is really kind of unique and cool. It's awesome to be in that environment, to watch that happen.
Yeah, it is cool. Which moves us into the next one, which I think kind of goes along. Is that he didn't go off track. I love the next one.
Oh, cool.
Well, yeah, and I was been thinking about something you said earlier, Jeb. That you think back to when we were training for cert exams and doing the 3x5 note card thing, right? And so that doesn't work anymore. That doesn't work with our system, because what happens is the candidate gets up and gives this prefab, called a canned presentation. They're not able to adapt to the people in front of them, so on and so forth. So when we were having that conversation a few minutes ago, there's this notion in that conversation that planning is not desirable. Like, you can over plan. Mm-hmm. Planning can be a detriment when you're trying to be a teacher. So the question is, how do you prepare them? Like, because you still have to know the stuff. You still have to be an expert. Yeah. Yeah. It's not about getting out in front of a group or getting out in a private lesson and just like throwing your opinion out there. Yeah. And, it should be grounded in something that's biomechanically efficient, that works with the design of the gear. So if you can't plan and prep, if you can't plan, how do you prepare?
Well, you prepare by studying the sport. If you want to get good at this thing, you got to study. And this, whatever we are in terms of the century, what century are we in here, Thomas?
21st.
This is 21st century? This 21st century immediate gratification BS does not work for ski teaching. All right. And so if you want to get good at this thing, or snowboard instruction, I don't care what kind of instructor you want to be. If you want to get good at this and actually make it a career, you've got to study the sport. And that study, I just got my 40-year pin last year, and that study is still going on as we speak. Mm-hmm. It never ends. So that's the first thing, is you've got to know a little bit about it. And then you've got to be able to get out there and try it and work with each other. And the biggest leap an instructor can make is to just give it a try. try to go out there with just, when you look at the technical fundamentals out there, they align to, they can easily align to what guests want. I mean, what do guests want? They want to look better. They want to be able to ski in different terrain. They want to keep up. They want to look elegant. All those things, which translate down into the technical fundamentals that are necessary to achieve that. Okay, so now as an instructor, all I do is I have a few things that I can do, no matter what the fundamental is, that turns up as being weak or in need of some help. I have some starting points. And then I'll go out and start working with those starting points and just watch how the students respond to that instruction and coaching. Mm-hmm. And the next thing always begins to appear, but you're never going to get good at seeing what that next thing is, that you should do, unless you can free yourself of your notes and get out there and give it a try yourself. Mm-hmm. And so it's taken a leap of faith. And then I think the piece that comes after that, Angelo, is your ability to be aware and reflect. Mm-hmm. And how did that go? It's no different than this conversation. I mean, we don't focus on this conversation, right? I mean, what's said is what it's said triggers the next thought, right? Mm-hmm. And that's it is tricky. It is hard, but that's what we like, is hard fun. And, we should be okay with that.
Yeah. Well, there's a few times go ahead, Angel. Sorry.
Well, and I'm thinking back to the note card mentality, which led to, I think, what we saw pretty commonly and still see commonly to this day, if I'm being honest, which is people read the manuals, memorize the manuals, and then regurgitate the manuals out on the hill. And that ain't it either. Mm-hmm. But what I'm hearing you say is you have to read the stuff.
Yeah.
Read the books, watch the videos, go to clinics, ask questions, work with people. But then when you're in your lessons, it's about, you've got that in your head. First of all, you don't have to say everything that's in your head. You don't have to. But as you're paying attention, you're going through your Rolodex and you say, oh, I'm going to pick this because I think it makes sense for this person here and now. That's very different than pulling out your note card.
Right. And to your point right there, I'm going to pick this because it makes sense now. It doesn't mean you need to pick something else after you're done doing that and then pick something else after you're done doing the other thing. Mm-hmm. What it means is okay, well, that seemed to work pretty well right here. Let's go try it over there. Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's slow it down now. Okay. We're over there. Things a little bit steeper as an example. We've hit a breaking point in your performance. Let's stay here. Now let's slow it down. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's not working. Let's go back to flatter terrain. So you're staying and you're making your decisions based on the what you see with the student. Mm-hmm. So that's technically, that's teaching and that's people. And so when you see somebody struggling, what the expressions look like, the behaviors look like when someone's struggling, you need to be aware of that stuff. And we're going to shift gears here. We're going to take a break. We're going to go over here. We're going to do whatever. Or you can see when people are confused and don't understand. I mean, there are behaviors that people, kind of like the way you guys look right now,
like a deer in headlights.
Be polite. But there are behaviors that people exhibit, when they don't understand something. And that's your cue to say, I'm going to just slow it down, or I'm going to adjust, or let's just try it again. Let's go over there. That kind of you can see when they start to get it, you can see that smile start to emerge, or you can see the frustration start to emerge when they're just not getting it. And that's when you make your adjustments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I got excited there, Angelo. It was like button in because he talked about the hard fun, and it just came to my brain of like some of the times that we've been out, that I've been in one of your groups and Jeb's leading, and we're doing something at training, say like 1,000 steps, and some of us, myself, Troy, a few others would be like, Jeb, this is crap. We're like, we don't believe in this. And how you handle that, it is like you were just describing, as Angela, you'd have us try it again, or, because as you say, at times we have the argument.
Right. Yeah. Very entertaining. It's a little scary too, because you guys are powerful guys. Because
we get that hard fun, and we're like, no way. Yeah. But it is, it is one of those things you never try to, you personally, at least the view I get, like when I've been in those situations, you don't take over or like, this is what it is. You'll create some experience having us doing it again with a different tempo, a different whatever, depending on the drill, to try to have us still get that, what we're supposed to get out of what you're looking for, maybe for us to sense from the experience versus going, no, this is what it is, guys.
Right. Yeah. So that's a good point. It's not like me telling you, I want to hear you tell me, and so let's change it up and like, all right, what do you think of that? You'll hear me say something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm curious, like, cause I like when you have a good relationship with students, you've had time, you don't want like the first lesson you're out with somebody. When you have somebody that's been in privates for a long time, or you're doing a seasonal group, or you're skiing like with some folks who's skiing with other trainers, or you have like your teams going out they'll be at the Summit Academy in Killington skiing with all level 3s. There's a level there of trust that you can kind of challenge people. Mm-hmm. And where's the line? Like, I know I personally think it's good to push them sometimes to have some frustration that they've got to work through the movement or the feeling, understanding. Like if it just comes so easy, there's not really a lot of learning in my view. And I know Angelo will want to jump in. He might tell me I'm crazy, but
that is true. And that's the cool thing about this little world that we live in. Is we all challenge each other, all the way right into the bar. If you don't have your coin, you're being challenged, even when you're not even on snow, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
By the way, where is my coin? Oh my God.
I got enough for everybody right here.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, sweet.
I can't believe I didn't bring that thing. But yeah, no, it's that hard fun, and nobody's trying to be mean about it. They shouldn't be, it's just about the camaraderie and the learning. And sometimes, the beauty is when you challenge somebody on something and you turn out that you're actually the wrong one. It's like my favorite response.
Have you been listening to me and Amanda talk? I'm waiting to be right.
Well, good luck with that. You can be waiting a while.
You can be right. You can be right, or you can be happy.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Yeah. Paying attention. I paid attention tonight at the frustration in the kitchen right before this call. And what did I do? I sprung to it and started doing dishes.
Go.
Good thing.
You met her where she was. Yeah. And she was not having dirty dishes.
No, not having it. Not having it. Yeah. That's right.
Oh, God. And that segues us right into the old people skills I wanted to chat about, because, I don't think we should lose this. That's the real, if we look at everything in the learning connection model, it's not that the learning connection model wasn't new, or the fundamentals absolutely defined skiing and all the fundamentals of different disciplines definitely gave more concrete understanding of what the American skiing and snowboarding world is. But the people skills, really to score people. And you've talked about this, Jeb, many times. From the first time we were going to be scoring these things, this is not the little tassels on your pole, wearing a funny thing on your hat, cracking a joke. People skills are truly how you connect, how you're aware of things you've already been talking about, in my view, of how you're aware of what's going on around you, those people, the reactions. You're talking about some nonverbal communication. Maybe Angela and I were showing on here with the deer in the headlights. But it's pretty important. I think still, I'll say it and put it out there that I think still our membership here in the East, because that's who I ski with all the time, still doesn't get the depth of what the people skills are. Sometimes they think it's about just, saying, hey, let's have some fun. Let's go down this one. Let's ski a little faster, have some fun. That's our people skills. It's like, no. And I just wanted to get your view. And I know Angela will jump in. We've had many conversations on this of the behaviors and how you affect what's Matt given us? Like, is learning maintained, is trust maintained, or did you break trust? Mm-hmm. Did learning occur or didn't learning occur? All the activities in there of how we interacted, two-way communication, being aware of myself, and just the importance in your view, I think I'm kind of looking for.
Well, I mean, not to offend anybody here, but I never really connected with people with bells on their ski poles or jester hats or, silly pandas hanging out. To me, that was all didn't work for me. Now, I'm sure that there's some that it does. I think if you're a children's instructor, some of those little things that you do aren't a bad idea. But really, the people skills, and I would encourage your listeners to really read through those fundamentals and reflect on the meaning behind those fundamentals, because really what they're about is making a connection with people, and to the point where those people want to go with you. I did a presentation once recently where the slide was, it said, I can't, ICAN''T. And the next slide was an X through the apostrophe T, and it said, I can't. And so what that means is the instructor's goal is to make those connections with those people so that they can make that same exact, say that to themselves, like, wow, I can do this. This is great. And so it's a combination of all of those fundamentals. But if you can't connect with them at a human level and just, sit on the chairlift shoulder to shoulder and just have a conversation, where you can get to know one another, you don't need a bell. You don't need a jester hat for that to happen. Honestly, you're hiding behind those things often. Yeah. If that's your MO. Rather, get rid of that stuff and just connect with people, find out what they're all about. And when you're doing that, you're going to discover little cues that you can use to anchor the teaching that's going to occur throughout your lesson or throughout the season or throughout the whatever period of time that you're together. But, it's so important. And, when we were in, Ushuaia, Argentina for Interski, basically the world looked at that topic and disagreed with us completely because they felt that that's all teaching skills. And we're like, nah, there's a difference there. It's like teaching does learning occur? People skills is trust developed? And so you need both of those things for something great to occur. And so, I remember it was a standing only room. It was huge. We had one of the biggest, meeting rooms, and, it was spilling out into the halls. Everybody wanted to hear what the heck the Americans are talking about there. And you know what the beauty is we're still working on it, because one of the things that, going into team training this fall is we're breaking the team into different work groups, and people skills is a work group. And one of the questions that we're just going to ask the team to consider is, how do you train this? What can we create some tools that can help the rank and file instructor at any ski school and ride school USA get better at this stuff? Because it is tricky. It's the soft stuff. It can be intangible at times, but the better we are connecting with people, the more success we're going to have. as an individual instructor, as a school, and as an industry. We all need to help move that needle.
Yeah. There's so many little pieces to it. Cause like there was one cool thing you did a few years ago at one of the trainings that was in training group. It wasn't with the big group. It was just, you had your group on the hill, you're getting ready to go skiing, you're on the lifts, and you literally went to every ed staff member in that group and asked them how they wanted the feedback delivered.
I did that?
Yeah.
You must be thinking of somebody else.
No, it was you. It was you. I was in that group. But and different people had different views of not that they didn't want feedback.
Yeah.
But some wanted it to be more, soft, as you'd say, to
be nice.
Be nice of what they're doing. And someone like, no, just drill me, man.
Yeah.
Like I just want to know, was I even close? What do I gutted? Yeah. It was that how direct, not direct. But you did go around. I mean, those are little things, but I think like you were talking about earlier that you need to watch some of those things when you watch people to see, and how did it work? I thought it worked pretty well.
To that point, I think I remember that session, Davey, when the ones that wanted it direct, and I kind of responded like, "Well, that wasn't it." I usually follow that up with like a chuckle or a little smile, right? Like that wasn't it. Yeah. It's okay. It's not like you have to hang your jacket up. It's right. That wasn't it. Let's keep working on this thing. Yeah. Let's just kind of have some fun with this thing. So,
but yeah, people did want feedback in a little different way. And that was one way I saw that, like, okay, Jeb doesn't want to break trust there. He doesn't want to like get too straightforward. And in the sessions, I think that training was short. We weren't like out for the whole day. It was like a morning session or afternoon, and then things swapped over. So it wasn't like even though we know each of us in the room, it's still, when you only have that 2 hours and you're trying to get through a topic,
right?
It's tough.
Well, that's just a classic example, because it's like, how like we just want to keep doing more and keep giving and going and going and going. And it wasn't the time for that, right? Yeah. It's like, we have 2 hours. Let's do one thing in 2 hours. Let's give some feedback on it and let that feedback serve as like generative thought process on everything else they could do when they leave that place.
Yeah. I know Angela, we're going to slide into a topic at there. Angela always likes style.
Well, I have a question before that, because of something you just said, Jeb. Because you mentioned a couple Interskis and like how the rest of the world saw the topics or even saw the presentations and said to the team that isn't it. Come back when you grow up. Or whatever. But my question is, first question. Why is it important for us to be a part of that global community of pros, and how does that impact a member, who isn't all that engaged with the association? Maybe got their pin because of the buck raise or whatever. I don't know, but why is it important to that person?
Yeah, there's an organization called ISIA out there. What is it? International
Snow Sports Instructor Association.
Yeah, it's really an organization of instructors globally, and guess what? We're all members of that. I mean, because our certification transfers to equivalency within that organization. That's one thing that we're looking to do, is to celebrate that more here in the U.S. and say that, look, our community is bigger than your school, your region, our country. It's a global community. There's people who are excited about this thing all around the globe. I mean, you got Wayne Wong behind you, Davey. I just keep staring at that picture. That is so awesome. That guy's known around the world, and the interesting thing about ISIA is it's a challenging standard. It's really challenging. What makes it challenging is because some European countries, it's government driven. Snow sports instruction is driven by the government. It's you need a license to teach, and so the certifications align with the licensing, and so it creates professionalized standards. And so that's really what we look to do is how well do we align to some of the more stricter licensing requirements. And there should be a level of pride that, wow, we do pretty darn good. To that point, Angelo, when you look, and going all the way back to the beginning of this thing, talking about alignment, when you look at the number of days that are required for an instructor to go from new hire to level 3 certification, days that they need to go to clinics, events, etc., exams. First of all, it's all over the place as a nation, but it just scratches the surface as to what goes on outside of the USA. And there are some countries that you've got to do weeks and weeks just to obtain the next level of certification. And so it's aligning to that standard. It's using that standard as inspiration. And that's what Interski is all about. This next year is going and talking to other people in other countries about, what we believe in, hearing what they believe in, and seeing how those things align. And from that misalignment occurs, and that's when new ideas start to surface. How do we get realigned? And there's where your new ideas come.
But a personal statement here, you look at the state of the world and the condition that governments are in and just people's general vibe. I feel like I'm pretty safe to say that we're moving into some pretty isolationist times on planet Earth. And I would hate to see that permeate ISIA and snow sports, especially with a theme like inclusion is one of the 3 pillars of the next Interski theme. And it's almost like the ski community at the global level is fighting back against this nonsense isolationist, nationalistic, we're better than you vibe that's happening elsewhere on the planet. I hope that we can continue to fight through that and stay a part of that global crew, because it's great to go ski with people from other places and learn from them.
It really, and you learn so much. And, you reminded me, Angelo, during COVID, like in the throat, was it COVID or was it 9/11? Might have been 9/11. I felt so insignificant after 9/11. And I was like, what am I doing with my life? I'm a ski instructor. Oh my God, I should be doing something really important right now, like a doctor or military or something. And I remember saying that to a member, and they're like, are you kidding me? You are like, you are what this world needs, because all of you in this organization are what the world needs, because you help people escape and you help people get away from all of that junk that's out there. And, and that's, to your point, Angelo, it's like, let's go skiing. I mean, really, how many times do you go skiing or riding and you're like, have this like stressed out frown on your face? Unless it's like pouring down rain and it's but usually you're just like, all of that stuff goes away, and that's the beautiful thing about this sport. We can help others who come to ski and ride with us to experience that too.
You and I have had that conversation, Jeb, because I had similar thoughts when I left school teaching and I'm doing ski teaching more full time, and I'm like, I'm like, am I doing enough with my life? And then it took me a couple of years to find it. But what, to your point, that idea of leisure, Pete Allison, leisure and vacation and
leisure,
taking a break from all the rotten stuff, or even not even rotten, just the mundane treadmill piece of life. It's so important, that idea, that notion, to people's well-being, that the United Nations made that an article in their Declaration of Human Rights. It's a basic human right on this planet. It's recognized by the UN that you have the right to leisure and vacation time and fun and look at us. I mean, we are right in the middle of that, right? Poster children.
We want a longer winter, man. It's like this 4 months
no,
longer.
I like it the way it is.
No, we need at least 5 months, Jeb. I mean, November's sitting at home.
It's a hard start and a hard finish. I'm good with that.
Yes, that's what we need because, I mean, we sit November. It's hard some of those days when you want to get on the bike and it's like, it's cold out. Trainer, man.
Yes.
But to put the skis on, put the parka on, it's like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready to rock. That's right.
Yeah. But and Interski, let's stay there for a second because Angela brought this up, which is good. It's going to be in the U.S. coming up. And which is so
1968.
Yeah, so pretty cool at Vail. I know you guys have been skiing there. You've been doing some of your winter training there, not your fall, but you've been going for your later in the winter with the team at Vail, which is pretty cool. And probably get a lot of terrain. What's the excitement? You've been to, this is going to be, I think, 5, 6?
5, yeah. Yeah, because we didn't go to South Korea.
Right. But it's like, you got to be pretty excited for where it's come. Cause I mean, you guys were kind of putting the whole learning connection model together in pieces and getting it together while you were on the team and while you were one of the leaders. And then now it's like in the US and the connection model's been there, but now it's like, it's really going into play as much as it was kind of finalized for the last one. This piece that we're doing now with all the assessment stuff is there for the exams. And now it's like, it's really out there. Like our members are training to this.
Yeah.
Like you guys are going and really showing it. Like, I think in another couple of, it's happening in like 2 years, it'll be the results of all the hard work of all those years of like the impact it's had on US skiing and snowboarding.
I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah. And it's a result, but it's also like, Interski, every national team term is the opportunity to reset. And that's the way, the team works is the national team members all have to try out again after every 4 years. Mm-hmm. And so you can continue if you have maintained your capabilities. But the reset really occurs in like, okay, where do we want to go with this thing? Where do we want to take this, our profession here in the US anyway. And that's like a lot of the things that, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but we're really starting to look at things like, all right, we've got all these fundamentals that people can recite across the country, but do they really mean what is intended? Right. Is there, can we refine that at all? Other examples are like, and believe it or not, did you guys know that the skills concept is alive and well in the USA?
Yes, I did. It's still in our tech manual.
Right. It is still alive and well, but there's so many people who feel that the fundamentals replace the skills concept. And so looking at like, how can we look at those two technical concepts and make sure that they don't contradict either one or the other, and that they have presence, they have purpose, that is, very, well known to our members. And I'm not sure we're there yet. So we're looking at those kind of refinements moving forward, but that's what the reset does every 4 years. We've got a new team there. It's a phenomenal team. These guys and gals are so excited about, the sport and to be able to give back and to be able to help our membership do better and to do the job with more joy and more excitement. They're pretty fired up about taking a look at these things.
And looking like at the back window type stuff of the Summit Academy. I don't know. I haven't been noticing, but I see like 16 national team names. Yeah. Is that like, cause it's bigger, but I mean, that's a lot of team members coming. That's a little more than normal, isn't it?
It's huge. Yeah. And it's a challenge because there's so many other events at the exact same time around the country, but the Summit Academy is such a big event. That everybody in the team wants to work it. Yeah. There's a couple out west who are afraid to come east. I just chuckle, And actually, one of them came back east for the first time, either maybe last year or the year before, and we had this beautiful. It was like powder all week, except for one day, maybe. And their comment to me was like, "I think you guys in the East are just completely sandbagging. That was pretty good skiing." Every now and then we do good.
Oh man, yeah, I saw that. And I'm like, man, that's huge. It's like I counted like 16 that were staff ready to go. I'm like, man, that's awesome, and pretty cool to see that. And well, I'm looking forward to. I know, Angela, you're excited for it, obviously, and working a ton with the team and your job for that. But it's going to be interesting. I think that there was a ton that went to Finland in terms of delegates that wanted to go, folks from here in the US. I think that this one's going to be like a battle. I mean, they're going to have to do a lottery. Like there's going to be probably so many want to do because it's here.
Yeah. It's everywhere I go, people are like, "Oh, I'm totally going."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be like
your lodging now.
It's going to be like Woodstock.
Yeah,
it is. And that's the cool thing is like the organizers recognize that, hey, believe it or not, we are the largest association, ski and snowboard certification association in the world. Mm-hmm. And therefore the events here in the US, and there's going to be high demand for this thing. So the organizers are definitely looking at, okay, how can we do things a little bit differently that can allow for more people to participate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. So I've been thinking a little change of topic. You talking about the team, and I started to think about training last fall and then the winter, and just you talking about people coming back if they still have the skill level and so on and so forth. But just thinking about the composition of the team and how gifted everybody is, but how different everybody is. Mm-hmm. And then it made me start to think about the Eastern Ed staff, and there's all kinds of characters on there, all sorts of personalities, right? So another interesting problem that can create is like we're all trying to work toward the same standards, but how do we do that and maintain our individuality, our individual styles doing that? And I will add, as you think about that, in case I sprung it on you, but
yeah, you dropped that one.
Yeah, well, give you a minute. But when you were talking about the Penn State presentation at National Academy last year, and the idea of the PGA has preferences in there, and built a technical term called preferences built into their curriculum. The way I interpreted that during that was a presentation by Brian Soule and Eric Handley. It was great. The way I interpreted the preferences piece is like what kind of gear you might show up on. So
sure.
we're looking at the same fundamentals because they're general. They have applicability in all sorts of performance, and it doesn't matter if you show up on fat skis or race skis or all mountain skis or whatever. And I looked at the preferences that way. And I think the reason I'm bringing it up now with that question is because that, in my mind, again, fits into this idea of bringing individuality into a curriculum or an association or a system where we're all trying to achieve consistency to the same fundamentals. Like how do you find them? How do you balance those things?
Well, we're a big country. There's a lot of different people who are into what we do in skiing and riding. And there's more than one way to skin the cat. And so therefore, when we build teams that influence this association, we look for that diversity when building that team. I want to say it was Michael Rogan who said at one point to a sea of candidates at a national team tryout, we're not looking for a team full of left-handed pitchers. We're looking to build a team here and so we need those characters. We need that variety so that those characters can get out and connect with the people, and let's face it, there's people who don't like to ski with me, and that's okay. I mean, because they're going to like to go ski with you guys, and because of what we bring, and that's very American, and that's what we look for is there enough consistency in application to our fundamentals where we can be a little bit looser on like the criteria of the person. You got to be a good person with a ton of integrity to be in any of these positions that we form teams around. But we don't want them all to be the same. That can't happen, because that's when our association starts running into trouble. Is we want that variety. And you know what? Like, we never would have arrived at the technical fundamentals that we have right now if we didn't have Dave Oliver on the national team, who was a freestyle guy who skied backwards.
Yep.
And I say that because when we were at the time, we were trying to flush these fundamentals out and arrive at terminology that is going to work. And we say, nope, doesn't work going backwards. And like, well, if it doesn't work going backwards, then is it the right thing to hang our hat on? And he helped us so much, get to the point where we are right now. And that just proved the point that you need that variety. You need those difference of opinions, to get our country to move forward. So.
So when you have all those different characters, the people skills really come into play as to how we work with each other. And I have to preface this because if I don't, and Mr. Shostak, Bob Shostak, Hall of Famer down there in the PA Hall of Fame for ski and snowboard, would get on me that our fundamentals aren't listed in order of importance, whether it be the skiing, the teaching, or the people skills. Yet some of us, and I think for myself, it's more because I look at myself and I'm looking at the people skills. It's not like that I say this is the most important for everybody. This is one that I look at. For me to be successful, I have to. And it is a question for you guys too, to see if you have a different one or a different opinion. I really have to look at the fundamental and the people skills of identify, understand, and manage your emotions and actions. Mine. I have to do that. And I have to pay attention to that. Because if I don't, people say, well, trust is so important, Dave. I'm like, I can lose somebody's trust really well if I'm not aware of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that's for me personally. So for personally, I don't think that I put that as number one, that I look at everybody and I want to make sure they do that one. That's just me individual that I do that because in, looking at my strengths and weaknesses, I have to pay attention to that. And I'm curious if you guys have one that you look at more than the other for yourself. And just from you, Jeb, how should people look at this? Like, we have to look at all four, obviously.
Yeah.
But is it good to look at our strengths and weaknesses and know that, like, for me to know I have to pay attention to this one, in my opinion, to do better?
Yeah, 100%. You need to do that. We all need to do that. You need to know where you're strong and you need to know where you're weak. And it's funny. Angelo and I are working on a course for Penn State right now, and that's one of the lessons is develop a training program based around your own personal individual strengths and weaknesses to achieve the level 2 certification. So that awareness and for me, it's the biggest thing that I pay attention to is my awareness and reflection. And just paying attention to what's going on around us. It's like, one of the other coaches of the team was talking on a conference call the other night about how, when you're out there taking a run and you're thinking to yourself, I am destroying this run. I am killing it. Right. And then you get down to the bottom of your group and nobody says anything to you. Right. And so, I know that doesn't happen to you guys, but
that's
Rod. But this is a very real opportunity. And his point was, are you aware enough to be able to read between the lines and make meaning out of no comments when you thought you crushed that thing? Are you aware of that? And can you use that to say, well, maybe I didn't crush that run, and you can open the door to how'd that look to you guys? What do you think? I thought I did good. What'd you think? But that reflection and awareness and that's key for this guy right here.
Yeah.
I agree, Dave. I prioritize that people skill fundamental, and I've written articles on it, 2 or 3 that are on the website, national website right now, that I don't think you can know others that well. I don't think you can connect with others that well without really knowing yourself. Yeah. And the problem with it, the inherent problem with knowing yourself is that by definition, it's subjective. So it's biased.
Yes.
And you really need help. And Jeb, that's where you arrived. And you were just telling that story about the call the other night, that you arrived at that reality. Like becoming self-aware isn't possible alone. So you have to enlist the help of, it's really a problem, isn't it? You have to enlist help in it. You need.
Well, that's where just being in your own little bubble is kind of nice because it's all rosy all the time.
Look, I'm not saying I don't love my bubble. I love my bubble. Yeah, but it's you, and I think that was the gist of those articles I wrote. That if you're truly gonna embrace these people skills fundamentals, I do prioritize that one. I think those are in an order. I don't know what the order of the second, third, and fourth one are, but I believe that one you mentioned comes first. That know thyself has to come first. Otherwise, you're just operating from a place of uncertainty, And I fully believe that.
Yeah. And Sue Kramer, she hasn't said it in that way that's the most important, but she's definitely trying to have us the last few years to become more self-aware of our actions. And I think it's been a big help for the ed staff. I feel I've seen a difference in all of us from that in terms of, I love the activity. I think it was last year we had to come up with a couple things that we thought we were really good at in people skills that we brought to a group, but then also think about those of how those can turn around and also be negatives with certain groups. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah.
I think
we should give a toast to Sue. What do you think?
Yes. To Sue.
Yeah.
Coach Sue.
Cheers, Sue. She's awesome. Yeah. Oh, number 2. That's good.
Oh, he's cracking number 2.
I'm laughing when you're bringing up Sue because it's like, I have a feeling she chose that activity because she's tired of us acting like boneheads, and she wants us to be able to.
There's no question about that.
I need
children
you guys
out here.
I need you children to understand when you're acting like infants,
which is most of the time for us. Oh man, unbelievable!
Good
I love
stuff.
it. Oh yeah, but you have talked, Jeb, a little bit about the people skills, and I know you're exploring it with the team, which is cool, as to how we train these things. That a lot of it for me is trying to be aware during groups, and that's where I'm practicing. It's hard to practice them in my own bubble.
Well, it is. It's so hard, and you made a comment earlier in the show here that some of the criteria points that instructors are responsible for, those lists are long.
Yeah.
Right. Couple things. The teaching group are working to shorten that list without losing any meaning. All right. And that's good news.
Yeah.
And the other thing is in any of the criteria for certification, there's too much for you to think about why you're doing your deal, why you're doing the job. But that's where the reflection piece comes into play. It's like, I say this to everybody all the time. I'm like, there's too much for you to pay attention to here. Just go do your thing, and then come back and look at that assessment form and all right, score yourself. How well did you do? Find your weaknesses. Okay, the next time I'm out on snow with folks, I'm going to really pay attention to this one point. And that's how, to me, that's what I found is the best way to prepare and train. It is, rather than trying to think about hitting all these pieces on the fly as you're going, just do your thing and then reflect back, and then do it again and try to address.
You got to put it in your DNA first.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
That's the development piece.
That's right.
That's reading and asking questions and practicing and trying and clinicking and experimenting. If it's in your fiber, then you go out and do you. And then, I've never done a presentation where I remembered to say everything, ever.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's why in the exams we have follow-up questions.
Right.
That's the beauty of it. Like, go do you. And then if it seems like you left something out, Capron's going to ask you a question. You go, oh, yeah, right. Yeah, correct. And then, but that's what those are for. It's not to catch you doing something wrong. It's to give you the opportunity to do something right.
Totally. Yeah. Just because somebody asks you a question on the chairlift after your teaching segment of an exam doesn't mean you're in trouble.
Yeah.
It just means that they need clarification, and they're checking to see how much, are you aware of this or that, Yeah. Oftentimes those questions can save you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I've come to, I've known it for a long time, but especially with this, we have the scoring system now, and we were just scoring maintain or attain, which all of us, like when I went through, was pass or fail in my mind. I know Bob wants us to the maintain, attain, and it is on our cards there, but we have now the 1 to 6 scoring, and a 4 out of the 1 to 6 is a pass, is an attain the next in that criteria. So if you attain a 4 across everything, you attain, but a 4 doesn't necessarily mean that they were 100%.
Right.
I mean, it appears regularly at a satisfactory level. Like it's not superior. It doesn't appear continuously.
Right.
And I think people forget that are taking it, that they think they're worried about every single thing versus, as you say, Jeb, do their thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not looking. And I think, and I know, when I went through, we always thought this, the examiner's looking for the one thing I said was wrong.
Yeah.
And it isn't. It's what is behind it. What is the teaching? What is the relationship they've created with the students over the time? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which I think you just was saying. It's like you can't think about each piece. Right. You need to be there. We'll have follow-ups, but it's also, do you do this regularly?
Right. It's so true, and that's like, you remind me, both you guys, like when I say go do your thing, that starts on day 1 of the season.
Yeah.
Not at your exam. At your exam, you should have gone through that cycle where I'm going to go do my thing, and I'm going to go back, reflect, and look through the assessment form, find where I can do better. And then the next time I'm going to go at it and do it again. So that's now day 2. And so in your exams should be pretty deep into the season normally. And so you've had enough of those cycles that you're starting to put that assessment form into your DNA, as Angela talks about it. And what's interesting is that assessment form, it's not like, the silly human tricks that the 3 of us hear all the time, the criticism of these exams. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those assessment forms represent what excellence in snow sports instruction looks like at that level. And when you look at the best instructors in the world, going back to ISIA, they do these things, and you're trying to measure up to that standard. And so that's really the only way you can get good at this thing. Is if you're trying just to do your thing, and you're like, okay, I'm really good at my thing. Now I'm going to go take this exam, and your thing just misses criteria points. There's no way you're going to pass this thing. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you do your thing, reflect, get an idea, do your thing again, reflect, how did I do? Do your thing again, and just keep going through that cycle, you will get better at this sport, in this profession.
Mm-hmm. And I think that sort of answers the last thing I wanted. We've got here in the East, in Alpine, we've got an Alpine development team tryout. We're also having the Eastern team tryout, another big tryout for those that want to go to the national team. And I was going to ask, how they, what's some of the advice, and maybe you still have some things that you missed, but that sounds like good advice for those preparing for the tryouts. I mean,
100%. I mean, if you are, let's face it, when you get put on the spot and all of a sudden they get their thumb on you for an assessment, because that's how it can feel sometimes. what are the behaviors that come from that experience? Usually it's retreat. Usually it's like, start darting eyes. It's loss of facial expression. Those are behaviors that really don't align with the job that those people are trying to apply for. And so the only way they can do it is if they are so versed in the sport, it's in their DNA. I love the way you explain that, Angelo. Then when they get put on the spot, no different than you guys are putting me on the spot tonight, right?
We're enjoying it.
Yeah. It's like, how do they respond to that? And they need confidence in themselves. That confidence comes from the preparation. And so when it gets heavy, if they can be still themselves, that says a lot about those individuals. And oftentimes those are the people who make these teams.
Yep. And I do, when I plan that dev team, I try to challenge. We always try to challenge with the skiing, but it's definitely the teaching of people. It's just trying to, I look at that level 3, that criteria in terms on that level 3 form, and they should be meeting it and at 5s and 6s.
Yeah.
No 4s, 5s and 6s on that form. Are they doing those things more at a frequently and continuously to really nail it? And the activities that come up with are trying to show, do they know the fundamentals, the fundamentals in all 3 triangles?
If they do, no matter what you throw at them, they should be able to manage that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's why you get those little curveballs thrown at you, is because, like, how are they going to handle this thing? Yeah. And you're looking to form a team, and you're looking to form a team of people who can handle stuff that gets thrown at them.
Yeah. I really like that you said that, because I was sitting here thinking about how much I like how Jonathan Ballou describes, a 4, which is high associative, and or 5-6, which is autonomous. And it's really simple. Can you change it? Can you tweak it? So it's not about like, I need to get, in alpine or tele skiing, like I need to get parallel turns on lock to pass this thing. And then, okay, I've got parallel turns on lock, so I'm going to go.
Yeah.
That may get you there, but you're in a lot better place if you're like, okay, can you change those parallel turns? Can you do them a little skiddier this time? Can you do them a little more edge next time? And if you can start to add some variety, then it's a self-check. You're upwards of that 4, 5, or 6 score. I think that's a really simple, clever way to put it.
Absolutely. I think that's really well said.
Cool. Well, Jeb, I want to thank you for supporting us and jumping in. And it's cool. We're all busy here as we're getting ready everything's changed and starting to overlap again. It's that fall time where.
I know. Tell me about it. If you can only see my desk right now.
Yeah. I mean, between the Zoom calls with the coaches, the teams, the banging nails with Matt, and I see Matt's running that schedule.
And we got some surfing in today.
There you go. Good.
She's angry with me about that, but
that's good. You got to get that. You got to get that time in that surf, because it's going to get cold soon. You won't be surfing not till March, right? Was it February or March? You head to Puerto Rico.
February.
There you go. That's going to be good. But thanks a bunch. It's always a pleasure.
You guys, let's hear it for Chaos and Company. You guys are doing something really unique to the industry, and I appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you. We love the support, and here's my shot to it. And the team's been great. I mean, it's always cool. We had a great one this you probably saw with Michael and Zoe and Katie and Troy, and that was super cool. I think people love that hitting August, and they're kind of thinking skiing here in the north, and then they see them down there ripping it up. Was really cool. But thanks a bunch, and thanks to all our supporters out there. Blizzard Technica has been awesome for Angela and I in the podcast here. We also want to thank Nick's Boot Fitting. If you're going to get your boots, get them over there. I know the other 2 guys in this call and myself all have him. Nick definitely touches our boots over there and does a great job, and his crew. And then also, man, we got to put a shout out there to Dave Berger, Dr. Dave Berger, don't we, Angelo? He is the biggest individual listener supporter of our podcast and has been for a while. And we super are happy that he's happy with it. And thank you so much for the support there, Dave.
Well, man, you talk about having a love for everything we do in your fiber. That Dave Berger is it, man. And that dude the other day was sending us haiku, which I just loved, man. Just out of the blue, here's a haiku from Dave, like right on.
That was good.
Dave, that's awesome.
He was at the music festival doing that. Yep. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. This has been The Foul Line with Chaos and Company.